Morning, everybody. Welcome to Going On Daily Live. I'm Becky, and apparently my co-host Martin is not here today, where he was before the intro. So I have no idea what's going on. Ron, what is going on right now? Ron, pop on to see. Okay, Martin's back. Okay, good. I'm like, hi. No, he's gone. Okay. So, sometimes this happens on our show. It is what it is. It happens.
I see. Jesus. All right. Am I back? I see you.
You're back.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Okay. All right. Well, it is what it is. You're
Okay.
here. This is all that matters. Okay. My co-host here, Mr. Martin Blanco. And for some reason, Ron, you don't have our names here today. Also, Magic Martin.
That's Magic right. Martin. There we go.
Anyways, how was your weekend?
Mine was. I had a lovely weekend. A friend of mine, two friends of mine, were celebrating their 60th birthdays, and
wow.
they had a party. They're a couple, and it was nice to fet them, but it was nice to see a lot of people, many of whom we haven't seen in a while. So we're catching up, swapping stories about what our adult children are up to, reminiscing about the old days. So that was lovely.
And the rest of the week,
yeah, I have a show coming up next weekend, a variety show that they produce and perform in, and we were full of rehearsals for that too. So we're very, very busy weekend.
Okay, you should absolutely blast that show in a good way. Good blasting.
Okay. The show is called The Flagpole Radio Cafe. It is a variety show similar to the venerable A Prairie Home Companion, very popular radio variety show for decades and decades. And if you live in Connecticut, in the lower part of the state close to New York, the show is next Saturday, May 10th in Newtown, and you can find out information about the show and get tickets at flagpoleproductions.org. We always have a rotating guest artist in the show, in addition to the music and comedy we provide, and the guest is the wonderful, talented Jonathan Brooke. She's a singer, songwriter, musician extraordinaire. So that's what's coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there were a lot of rehearsals and writing for that. So that was the weekend. Thank you.
Do you feel prepared for next weekend?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we're definitely in good shape, and and we have fun too. So bonus, right? How was your weekend?
It was decent. Now I don't even remember what I did.
I'm going to bet you didn't go to any 60-year-old birthday parties. I'm going to go out on the limb and say that was probably not.
I didn't go to any 60 birthday parties. I did go to my kid's track and field.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just practicing, but it's really hot this weekend. Like, let me do some quick math here. About 84, 85. So it's pretty warm. Okay. Considering we had snow like 3 weeks ago. Like,
right.
We'll take it, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So I took her to that. I'm still getting over this cold, which, is just slowing me down a little bit. Went over to my parents' house, at a fire pit, like just a pretty relaxing weekend. Didn't do a lot. Yeah.
That's a good weekend.
I need that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because next weekend's Mother's Day. So then there's all the festivities, and my kids got a track meet and blah, blah, blah. So like my summer gets a little hectic.
Yes. Mother's Day is the worst, not because it's Mother's Day, but life doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't.
And in fact, we will be performing a sketch about what it's like on Mother's Day. And sometimes it's really a nightmare for the moms, because not only everyone wants to fet mom properly, but there's dance rehearsal, there's baseball games, there's the makeup baseball game. We have to see our parents, and if we don't, there's repercussions for that. And for those who go to church, you have to squeeze in. How do you do it? And the answer is you can't, and you mess everything up, and everybody's happy Mother's Day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good luck.
Yes. The boys will be coming over here. My brother-in-law, my father-in-law, coming over to help my husband do some yard work.
Nice.
But then they're also going to have it coincide with the Edmonton Oilers hockey game.
Nice.
So then they're going to come over at a certain time. And then my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law will come over as well. And then we'll make it into a Mother's Day / yard work / Oilers day.
Okay.
We'll just order food. No one's going to cook. We're just going to order food. So it
Smart.
should be okay. Yeah.
Smart. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. And my family's so chill. We'll just go over to my mom's. Actually, I think we'll just go to a restaurant. It'll be just an easy weekend, hopefully.
Good.
So Ron is reminding us that today is Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
To anybody who celebrates that. We forgot to do stories about that today, and that's okay because he says that they're going to talk about it on Sports Unfolded later.
Great. Terrific. I don't know what to say about it. It's like I didn't even know about this till about 10 years ago, and I don't know where I've been my whole life. Yeah, but
right.
Not to knock it, but
yes,
for those who celebrate, salute.
I mean, I'm in Canada. There are very few Mexican people here.
Yeah,
like very, very few. They come north. And they usually stay north. It's warm where you are. It's not warm where I am. Though there is a Mexican family in my town who has a restaurant. It is absolutely delicious. They're from the Sinaloa region. Their food is fantastic. So, I mean, there are definitely Mexican people here. I'm sure they'll be celebrating today. Maybe we'll pop by for margaritas. We'd have to support them. Yeah. I mean, they're business owners. You have to.
And you'll have fun.
Definitely. Anytime I can get a margarita and me, I'm having fun.
Well, Ron is letting us know, yes, Cinco de Mayo will be addressed on the Sports Unfolded NBA show tonight at 7 p.m. with Kenny.
7 p.m. Okay.
They're going to cover it for the network. They've got it covered.
Okay, perfect. So let the record show that Rhode Island Broadcasting does celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Mm-hmm. So I will let everybody know where they can find us, and then we'll dive right into the show today. So, of course, you can watch it. Well, I mean, first off, you can watch us on all of the social medias, whether, it's just some posts or reels or whatever. Ron does a really good job of manning the fort there. But if you want to watch us live, most mornings at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, you can check us out on Facebook at RI Broadcasting, and you can support the show over there with stars. You can watch us on Facebook at Rhode Island Broadcasting, and you can subscribe over there. You just click the little bell. And, of course, on Twitch at RI_broadcasting, where you can support the show with bits. Finally, you can head over to our Patreon account at RI Broadcasting. You can support the show there, get yourself some merchandise, some swag. And, of course, underneath me is all of the different logos, MeWe, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, I want to say, is that butterfly I always forget. Yep, Space Hey, which is some new social media account, Twitter, X, all of the places you can find us. So check us out at either Broadcasting RI Broadcasting, Rhode Island Broadcasting. Why none of these are the same, we'll never know. But check us out on all of our socials. Okay, let's dive into it today. I think I'm starting off the show.
Excellent.
Actually, I'm pretty sure, but just hang on. No, it's not. It's you.
Oh,
the best show on TV now.
The best show right now, unquestionably. No debate. There's no room for debate.
Okay, no debate. Okay.
On Prime. It's called, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly. But Becky, if you speak French, or if you don't, correct me.
I don't.
Étoile.
Étoile. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oile. Étoile. And it is a comedy drama by Amy Sherman Palladino and Daniel Palladino, and they are the creators of such brilliant television as The Gilmore Girls, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Okay.
And this show, Étoile, is now it may not on the surface appeal to everybody, but there is something for everybody in this show. And Étoile is about the world of ballet, specifically in New York and Paris. And the conceit of the show is the pandemic is over, and both the New York company, which is nominally the New York City Ballet, perhaps ABT, but it's really the New York City Ballet. They go by a different name, and I believe the National Ballet of Paris, that's affiliated with the Paris Opera House. These two companies were hit hard by the pandemic for a lot of reasons. Both they didn't have shows, there was an economic restraint, but dancers weren't dancing. There's a cost to that, and young people weren't training at the same way. Now the pandemic's over, people aren't coming back in the same numbers. So it's a difficult time. And so they come up with an idea of doing a talent swap. And for 1 year, a number of people from the New York company are going to go to Paris and be in residence there for a year. And a number of people from the Paris company are going to come to New York and be in residence there. And the story is about everything that ensues in making this happen and how it evolves. And certainly it's about the world of ballet. And it drills down very well in ways many other shows don't. This is an authentic show about dance. And the
Okay.
details are extraordinary, but it's also a very human story about the artistic process, about aspirations, about sacrifice, about emotional health issues, and the creative process and caring for each other, and the best of humanity and the worst of humanity.
Of
It's
course.
about incredible people with incredible amounts of wealth and people who are
Yes.
hanging on by their fingertips, but they come together in this shared love for the dance, for classical ballet. It's only 8 episodes. I wish there were more.
Oh,
There better be a season 2, and it's all out, so you don't have to. You can stream. You can binge watch it. And it bears repeat watching because it is
okay.
so packed full of witty dialogue, of interesting information, and beautiful dance to watch in every episode. So it bears rewatching.
So you will be happy to know that I just went on IMDb,
Okay.
and it does look like there are 8 more episodes for season 2.
Amen.
So yes, and this just came out. Like episode 1, season 1 came out April 24th.
Yeah, yeah. This
Well,
is
they
now.
all did, all of
Yeah,
them.
they all
So
dropped
they
it
were
in.
all released at the same
Yeah.
time. So this is a brand new show. Like we're
Mhm.
talking a week and a half.
Yep. And we're breaking the news. Season 2, they signed up for season.
Yeah, it sounds like it's
2.
that good that they have 8
Yeah.
because it says 16 episodes on the episode guide. So this is awesome. Now, is it like a modern day Fame?
It's, I mean, in broadly speaking, yes, but it's so much more. Um, what I want to say authentic. It dives down into the real nuts and bolts of the ballet world of high end performing arts. When I say high end, I mean at a huge budget.
Yes.
Anyone who works with boards of trustees, I mean, it's how they function and how they
Mhm.
function for cultural institutions on such a grand scale. It's about New York culture. It's about Parisian culture.
Mhm.
Um, so, as I said, there's something for everybody in it. And like Fame, yes, it's about people who want to perform for a living, but
Mhm.
it goes deeper. And I think it's a little. Fame has its. I enjoyed Fame, the movie.
Mhm.
I don't think I watched much of the TV show, but it certainly had its place, particularly to whet the appetite of young people.
Right.
This is okay for that generation who grew up on Fame. This is your show now for you.
Okay.
Right, this is next step. Okay, you're not 13, you're not 18. Enjoy Etoile. The cast is superb to a person, and there's
Mhm.
some great cameo appearances. Let me leak one. I'm a big Talking Heads enthusiast, and David Byrne pops in on
No,
one
no.
episode. Chris Wheeldon, who's a choreographer of note with the New York City Ballet, he
Mhm.
does a piece that is offered in the show. So this is, and there are dancers. I forget their names because I'm not that much of a ballet head. I don't know
Right.
all the names, but some known dancers will pop in as well. The cast is excellent to a person. I'm just going to point out 3 people. Lou Delage, she is a French woman. She is an actor with some dance training, and she studied ballet intensely to do this part in a short
Wow.
amount of time, and studied English intensely
Oh, wow.
part. And my understanding is they also have a ballet double for her, and so she does much of the dance, but for some of it they have a body double for her. And because the skills needed to dance ballet at that level are so specific and so rigorous, it's hard to be able to do that and to act in a contemporary film setting as
Right.
well. But Lou Delage is excellent in the way they blend everything she can do with the dance double is phenomenal. She plays a character named Cheyenne. She is the premier ballet star of France. She comes to America. I cannot take my eyes off of her when she's on the screen, and it's
I'm
not
looking at
just
her right now.
it's not just her innate beauty, which is
Mm.
real, and her physicality, her
Hmm.
intensity, and the way they wrote the character and the way she fulfills it. I miss her. I miss Cheyenne. I need her in my life. It is it, and I never stop laughing. I never stop screaming. So to everyone who created that character and
I'm gonna watch.
realizes it. You know, there are not enough accolades. Full stop. Okay. Luke
Sounds
Kirby
great. Okay.
is, and that he is the artistic director of the American Ballet Company, character loosely based on Peter Martins, who was an outstanding premier dancer from the Royal Danish Ballet, who came to
Hmm.
the United States and was ballet master for the New York City Ballet for a number of years, and its artistic head until a couple of years ago. And but Peter Martins worked with the great George Balanchine and Jerome Robbins, and the Luke Kirby character is in some respects, not all respects, some sort of the Peter Martins character. Luke Kirby, excellent actor. He
Hmm.
played Lenny Bruce in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, for anyone who watched that
Okay.
show.
Yeah.
And he is from Canada. So once again, I find
Oh,
myself tipping my hat off, because the best actors we see here in America, more often than not, are really
are
Canadians.
immigrants.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
And Luke is great. And Simon Callow, wonderful English actor, plays a part of a billionaire who is a philanthropist and funds the ballet. And he is just the most evil person in the world. And you love him. You love him. And much like
Okay.
Cheyenne, when he is on the screen, when he's on the camera, you cannot take your eyes off of him. And I love Simon Callow's work. If you don't know him, Google him. You've seen him in something or other many times. But
Okay, I need to know who this guy is.
yeah. So, and for everyone else, young,
Oh, okay.
old,
Yeah.
man, woman, from whatever country you come from, wonderful. So deny yourself no longer. Go watch A12. In fact, I'm going to make a joke. Here, go leave this show. Don't watch us. Go watch A12 now.
No,
Don't,
no, no,
no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
no.
That's all I have to
After.
say about it. That's all I have to say.
There's room for ballet dramedies after going on daily.
Yes, there is. There's room for both.
You know what? I like that mix of cultures. Like I watch Emily in Paris. It's like my
Mhm. That's
guilty
your,
pleasure.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
cheese. It's absolute cheese, but it's
yeah.
so cute
Fromage.
because it's not like they have American people pretending to be French. Like they are
Mm,
really dealing with French people and they go in and out and they subtitle it often. It's
mm,
just an interesting mix of the culture, especially seeing an American in that setting as
mm,
well. And they make it very true to how an American would act or,
mhm.
a Canadian would act in that setting with French people. Paris is known to be a little stuck up perhaps in their views of Americans. And yeah, so I'm excited to watch Etoile. It sounds like an
Mhm.
awesome show.
It
and
is.
and and 8 episodes is easy.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to commit to 25 episodes.
Right.
8 is easy.
8 is easy. They'll leave you wanting more. You can relax because now we know more are coming. So it's a
Yes.
good mix. It's interesting. You mentioned, some of the peculiarities of the towns. Oh, you have the French. Maybe they're eccentric. Maybe the Americans are
Hmm.
loud and obnoxious. But in this show,
Yes.
they poke fun at the idiosyncrasies of the Parisian
Hmm.
culture, New York culture, American culture, French culture, but they do it with great affection. So you
Hmm.
can laugh at it, you can recognize the foibles, right? But
Yes.
you do it with no malice, with a lot of warmth, and then you also see the treasures in the respective cultures as well, and that balance, I
Hmm.
think, is key. And they hit those notes in Emily in Paris, and they certainly hit the notes in Etoile.
That's cool. Well, I'm excited to watch it. I
Good.
need a new show. So
Okay.
this is
There
a
it is.
nice low commitment show for me to watch.
Yeah.
All right, moving along here, I have a very interesting topic that
Mhm.
I just learned about. So
Okay.
let me back up to Thursday. We
Oh,
did our conspiracy episode on Thursday. And then after the show, I went and visited my grandmother in her senior's home.
okay.
And I came between 2 and 3, which is rec time for the seniors.
Okay.
And so this day of particular rec time was a movie about the Great Lakes,
Mhm.
which I mean, not super recreational. However, I'm a nerd, so I enjoyed it. So
Okay.
I'm watching all the things. I grew up in Ontario, so I was close to some of the Great Lakes and
Oh yeah.
stuff. So, it was pretty cool to watch. But then it was talking about something called the Lake Michigan Triangle,
Mm,
similar to that of the Bermuda Triangle. Now, we know
mhm,
the Bermuda Triangle is a certain area over the waters near Bermuda
mhm,
where planes and ships go down, and it's unexplained. And for years, this has been happening. But apparently, in Michigan, Lake Michigan, there is an area that's, maybe not as bad as the Bermuda Triangle, but it definitely has had its nickname over the past 500 years.
mhm. Well,
Yeah, very interesting, right?
is
So,
this where the Edmund Fitzgerald went down? I have to ask.
I don't think so. I haven't read about that on
All
here.
right. That's fine. That's fine.
I
Okay.
haven't read, but you know what? Let me just do everyone a favor here, and hopefully, yeah, there we go.
Oh, I love that.
Let me get out of the way here.
All right.
So
That's a
that's
huge triangle. That's at
it's a
least a third of
huge
the lake.
triangle.
That's a third of the
Yes.
lake. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this part of the lake is considered especially treacherous for, boats, really, ships.
Yeah.
It stretches from Manitowoc, is that how I say it?
Hmm. I think so.
In Wisconsin to Ludington, Michigan, all the way down to Benton Harbor, Michigan. So, this kind of acute angle right here. So, this theory was first proposed by someone named Charles Berlitz.
Of
Uh, per,
course. Of course. All right. I know.
oh, you're familiar?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't subscribe to his way of thought, but that's fine. He's the man. I mean, of this type of thing. So
Interesting.
that's the story.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
He felt like the Michigan Lake was governed by the similar, I don't know, what do you want to call it, supernatural type forces
he would
as
call
the
it.
as the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, yeah.
So this theory was presented to the public in a book, Jay Gorley's book, The Great Lakes Triangle, in which he stated the Great Lakes account for more unexplained disappearances per unit area than the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's believed to have caused numerous shipwrecks and aerial disappearances over the years. So I'm going to go through just a few of them with you.
Okay. Good, good.
So it dates back originally to around 1679.
Mm.
The disappearance of a ship called Le Griffin. Griffon, sorry, I'm not French.
Le Griffon.
Le Griffon, right?
Everything sounds better in French.
Exactly. Yeah, Le Griffin doesn't sound that fancy.
No.
Le Griffon sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So the ship was transporting lumber when it mysteriously vanished. Now, despite attempts to locate it, it remained lost until an A&T recovery dive team came across it in 2006. So
Okay.
from 1679 to 2006. Another mysterious incident in the triangle is a reference of the Rose Bell. In 1921, the ship was transporting supplies when it was found overturned in the water. Now, it appeared that it had been in a collision, and yet there was no other shipwrecks or reports of accidents anywhere. And to further that, the 11-person crew was never found, ever.
Oh, no remains of the body.
No.
Okay.
So it was just completely flipped upside down and, looked like it had crashed, and yet there was no evidence of that.
Of anything. Okay.
Yes. And so, of course, these eerie disappearances continue. And so in April 28th, 1937, Captain George R. Donner of the freighter O.M. McFarland went to rest in his cabin after hours of navigating his crew through the icy waters of Lake Michigan. Now, as the ship was approaching its destination of Port Washington, Wisconsin, a crew member went to wake him up. He said, "I'm going to go sleep. You wake me up when we get close."
Okay.
A crew member went to wake him up, only to find him missing and the door locked from the inside. A search of the ship turned up no clues, and this Donner has never been seen since.
How does he spell his name?
Donner.
Like the Donner Party?
Like Donner the reindeer?
Donner the Rain. Yeah, but I'm thinking the Donner. All my point I want to make is, and I'm generally not a superstitious person, but I'm not going anywhere with anyone named Donner in charge
really?
because it does not end well. Yeah, look up the Donner Party.
Okay, I will after. That's
Right.
cool.
You can do a whole show on that too, but okay.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's my takeaway. If the name is Donna, it's
Good
like,
to know.
next, I'll
Yeah, we're
take the
not
next
going.
one. I'll take the
Yeah,
next
thanks.
one.
So how about this one? In 1950, there was a plane that went missing, and Ron was
Mm.
just saying, I think a
Oh, yeah,
plane as
yeah.
well. So the theories surrounding this is that UFOs and extraterrestrials are roaming the skies over Lake Michigan. A plane was traveling from New York to Seattle with a stop in Minneapolis on June 23rd of 1950, when it apparently just disappeared from the sky.
Okay.
It says at 11:37 that evening, the pilot requested a descent from 3,500 feet to 2,500 feet due to an electrical storm that was in the air. The request was denied, and minutes later, the plane disappeared from the radar. They searched, massive search effort, and the only thing they ever found was a blanket bearing a Northwest Airlines logo was located in the water. And that's it. Days have passed. Partial remains began to wash ashore across Michigan, but the plane never ever
The
resurfaced.
plane never did. Okay, but they found some
Nope.
bodies. They found some bodies. All right.
I believe so eventually. According to two police officers who were near the scene, though, there had been a strange red light hovering over the water just 2 hours after the plane disappeared. This led people to theorize that everyone was abducted by aliens. I don't know. This one is weird though. You'll find this one very strange.
Okay.
In 1978, a 23-year-old skier went missing. So his
Okay.
name was Stephen Kubacki, 23 years old, student at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. He went on a solo cross-country skiing trip near, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher these names, Saugatuck, Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Saugatuck, that's a weird name. When he disappeared. So the next day, snowmobilers found his equipment abandoned.
Mm.
Police located his footprints on the ice. The way that they abruptly ended suggested that Kabuki had fallen through the ice and died of either hypothermia or drowning. Of course, that's what they thought. The mystery appeared solved, right? Obviously, this kid's dead. That's it. We'll move on with their lives. Until May 5th, 1978. So remember, he went missing February 20th. So it's now 2.5 months later. He showed up in Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Okay.
Yes. Oh, sorry. And I should say, he went missing February 1978.
Okay.
He showed up May 1979.
Okay.
So a year later.
A year later.
15 months after seemingly disappearing into the ice, he found himself laying in the grass 700 miles away. The boy, well, I guess he's a man, he's 24 at the time. Kubacki tells reporters that he has no memory of what's happened the past year and a half. When he awoke, he was wearing weird clothes and his backpack contained random maps. This led him to believe that he'd been traveling. He also had a t-shirt from a Wisconsin marathon, which explained that why he felt like he'd been doing a lot of running. Like almost like amnesia when he woke up, but his body. The location of his disappearance had led many to suggest that he was another victim of the Lake Michigan Triangle.
Okay.
I mean, some people think he's lying. Some people believe that he has amnesia. And others, of course, feel like there was an alien abduction. And
they brought him to Pittsfield.
Yeah, right. They just dropped him in Pittsfield.
Pittsfield is about 90 minutes or so due north from where I live.
Oh, okay.
A little close for me. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about this guy, what he's doing today, what else people may have found out about the story. I'm going to go with not abducted by aliens, and a lot of reasons, but number one is aliens aren't dropping anyone off in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I can say that with confidence. I can say that, but it's an interesting story. Look, glad he's all right that he did not die of hypothermia, right? I mean, that started off as a pretty gruesome story.
But why did his feet or footprints, they just stopped?
Yeah.
That's what's weird.
Yeah, that is without question.
And then why did he show up 15 months later?
I mean, that's all
with a marathon shirt. Like he just trained for a marathon in that time,
right? But you know what? It's interesting though. But those are like breadcrumbs to okay, something happened, but okay, the footprint stuff, and you were somewhere where you acquired this shirt. Okay, so stuff was happening. Just my curiosity is, all right, what else happened?
Yeah.
and what happened in between there and Wisconsin and Massachusetts.
I'll do
So,
some research on him and see if I can't get more information for another
yeah.
show.
Okay.
So this one is a very interesting part of the whole Lake
Yeah.
Michigan triangle thing. So, people want to know, like, what is going on with this area? Is it just because the weather's bad in this particular area? Because realistically, like, that's why Bermuda Triangle is bad. It's a certain pocket of weather.
Mm.
Realistically, I don't know. I believe a lot of things, but one such theory about why it is the way it is because in 2007, divers found its own little Stonehenge down there under the water.
Yes.
You've
I
heard this.
just
Okay.
I mean, like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And see, I heard it on my grandmother's Great Lakes.
Look at that.
And they just briefly touched on it. They said the triangle and the Stonehenge underneath. And I thought, what the heck? That's weird.
Mhm.
So it sounds like a Northwestern Michigan college professor named Mark Hawley was doing an underwater dive in 2007 looking for whatever, as they do. He's a professor who teaches about underwater things. So obviously he's down there.
Yeah.
They discovered these rock formations 40 feet below while mapping shipwrecks. It featured a similar alignment to the famous formation found in England, except this one has an outlying boulder, which is believed to have an ancient carving of a mastodon on it.
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
yeah. Now, people are saying that it's not quite as round as you would believe, like from Stonehenge. It was more like set up as a mile, like a long mile.
Okay.
But either way, these are rock formations, nowhere near as big as Stonehenge, much smaller scale.
Right.
But according to the dating on it, it's around 9,000 years old, which makes it about 2,000 years older than the actual Stonehenge. Which is very interesting. So obviously some experts are skeptical of the discovery, but Hawley, the professor, acknowledges that experts are needed to confirm the existence. The problem is that not a lot of geological experts are also divers, so they can't get down there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They also haven't revealed the exact location, probably because they don't want people to go and disrupt it.
Oh, that's the last thing we need, right? Let's say for the sake of
imagine?
it's authentic and whatever, and now it's out there, and every clown and their friends are going down there for Instagram photos, and it's gonna be compromised.
Listen, if this is an ancient burial site, ritual area, you don't mess with it, okay? Don't be messing with these sort of things. We don't want to unleash whatever. Believe what you want about it.
And be respectful of it too. No, I mean,
well,
look,
that too. It's history, right? Yes.
Yeah. It's for all mankind. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one thing that was interesting about this Great Lakes thing from my grandma's place. Now, keep in mind, this video was dry. Like, it's meant for 90-year-olds. Okay, it was dry, and so I found myself sort of tuning in and out. But they were talking about how there's a huge salt deposit underneath the Great Lakes, which leads them to believe that this area was once ocean that receded and left behind these like huge salt deposits and then these Great Lakes and stuff, which I thought was so cool.
Oh yeah. So the things you can learn from just studying the geological makeup of whatever is and
for sure.
A friend of mine, her son is now a working geologist, and he can show me a rock. You show you a rock, and I'm like, oh, that's a rock. And maybe we like the colors, maybe it's interesting.
Yeah, it's shiny.
But you can look at the rock, cut it open, and glean all sorts of data from it about history, about nature, and whatnot. And that's what's so wonderful. There are those people, they get caught up in this. And they'll go and they'll do that dive, and they'll find the salt, and they'll be able to say, oh yeah, there were oceans here, and 40,000 years ago this happened, and 30,000 years that, and it's just amazing. We're all the better for it because we all can't go down these trails. We can all absorb, listen to the stories
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did get wrong, I will just correct myself before I change topics here. So I said it was 9,000 years ago. That was correct. 4,000 years before Stonehenge, not 2,000. So 4,000 years, but it was, but approximately 2,000 years after the ice age ended.
Okay.
So, anyways, I just thought it was very cool. You don't think that this kind of stuff is happening in your own backyard. For you, literally, it is. So I just thought it was a very interesting topic for today.
For sure. And the topper, the last item to me was that was fantastic.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
Yes.
Michigan Stonehenge. Yeah.
The Stonehenge of Lake Michigan. Yeah. Yes, that's right. I love it. All right, let's dive into your topic here. I was told I will not like the graphics. I'm excited to see the ortolan.
Ortolan. Yes. I'm going to have to read from this one, which is going to be, I didn't think this out. I wore my contact lenses. So
no.
But what a fact.
Oh, jeez.
I know. Where, okay.
Those little birds?
They are little, ortolans are little birds. They're known as, in America, they're known as buntings. They're a tiny bird, no larger than 3 inches, 15 centimeters, if for those on the metric system. And that's from tail to beak. They're very tiny.
Very small.
The bird is often featured in poetry and literature, and writers like Henry Fielding and Colette and Marcel Proust all write effusively about the ortolan in their work. Okay. An interesting story. A French theme continues about the ortolan in France and the late Francois Mitterrand. And in the telling of the story, we will learn how the proper way, the proper way to prepare an ortolan is. But
what would possess a person to take this tiny little thing?
I know.
I'm shocked.
No. People do weird things. Okay.
Yes, they do.
And sometimes they do weird things, and nothing gets hurt. Sometimes they do weird things, and sweet little birds and other things.
Yeah, and then they get breaded like a chicken bowl at a Chinese food restaurant.
If only that. Okay. No. This is much more Baroque. All right. Okay. So let me read. I'm reading from Schott's Food and Drink Miscellany. It's a collection by a man named Schott, Schott, about interesting missives about food and drink.
Okay, love it.
All right. So I quote, in France, it is illegal to hunt, buy, or eat ortolans. Ordinances which are routinely flouted, most famously by the proud President Francois Mitterrand, who ate ortolan at his last ever meal, suffering from end-stage cancer of the prostate. Mitterrand anticipated his imminent death and planned the final banquet. On 31 December 1995, 4 dishes were served to the president and his guest: oysters, foie gras, roast capon, and ortolan. The traditional method of preparing and eating ortolan is as curious as it is barbaric.
Oh, no.
Okay, the tiny birds are caught alive and kept in a dark box or blinded so that they gorge themselves continuously on grain. Yes. Once distended to way beyond their natural size, the birds are drowned in cognac, plucked, and roasted. After their beaks have been cut or bitten off, ortolans are eaten whole, bones and all.
I'm sorry, bitten off by human beings?
Cut or bitten. The chefs, the I don't know. Yeah, okay. Or bitten or cut. Here? I know. After their heads have been cut or bitten off, ortolans are eaten whole, bones and all.
What?
Now this is where it gets. It's like, who devised this?
This is barbaric. Oh my word!
They are eaten. But to your point, Becky, about the barbarism. Okay, they are eaten underneath a napkin to hide the shame of such cruelty and gluttony from the sight of God. That's how you. So this is how you compare it.
God is mad.
To hide, as if God can't see behind your little napkin. God knows what you've done.
God's like, I created some food for you to have, some animals for you to kill and eat, but like, let's do it kindly.
And this is what, or hide behind in that. Okay. So that's it is usually considered excessive to eat more than one ortolan, but on the night of his last meal, the dying President Mitterrand ate a second.
Oh, well, naturally, he's already going to hell for this, so I
Right,
guess we'll.
right. It was said that that was
Wow.
the last thing, the last food to pass his lips.
Like, look at him behind me. He's like,
I
stop,
know,
stop eating me,
I
you
know,
guys.
I know.
Don't bite my beak off. I'm just a cute little bird.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, this is okay. Look, there's not a lot of food I wouldn't try. However,
This,
there's a lot of preparations maybe I don't love
you
the
don't
sound
necessarily
of.
need. Yeah, yeah.
I think I would, whatever, like realistically, like even like killing a chicken is pretty gruesome, just like
Mhm.
chopping its head off and plucking out like it's horrible. But like we all live off chicken, right? Chicken's a staple.
Yep.
Right? Turkey, same thing, cows,
Well,
and when you actually think about the horrible living conditions that these
yeah,
animals
factory
have,
farming is grotesque. Yeah.
it's absolutely disgusting,
But you know what?
right?
This is why this is a little more grotesque because it's cruelty. All right. But now we're dressing it up as
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
we're using cognac and we're gonna pretend that we can hide this underneath the net. There's the charade, this is of it's not.
Yeah.
And so it makes it just a little bit more twist.
The drowning in cognac is interesting. Like, does it get more of a flavor when it's in its lungs? Like, and like,
It,
why blind it?
I think the blinding is it when it can't see, it doesn't. Somehow this is messing up their brain signals on when to stop eating. They just keep the
Mm.
implication is when they can't see what they're eating, they just keep eating or they
Well,
don't see us.
they're
So
trauma eating. I
they're
get
trauma
that.
eating. It's somehow confusing their normal operating system, and
Oh
so
my
they stuff
word.
themselves. They plump up, so they're not quite as small. But it's a bizarre
But
process.
why the bones? Why do you want to eat that?
Crunchy? I don't know. They're little and crunchy. Oh
Um,
man.
I,
So
I am wildly disturbed. Oh, Danny's here. Good morning, Danny. I'm wildly disturbed by this conversation.
right.
I mean, is this still a
Well,
practice
well,
today?
no. Well, the thing is, it's illegal in France. You're not supposed
I
to
would
do this.
hope
This
so.
was the
It's
method that the great chefs came up with, or whatever, over the years. It is now illegal, almost certainly because of the bizarre cruelty
but
involved,
like
and they don't.
let
But
let's put it this way though. There's a lot of things that are illegal. Speeding, for example,
right, right,
drug dealing,
right,
having a sip of alcohol when you're 20 and not 21.
right.
These are things that happen all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these fancier, you know, chefs or dining circles are still doing this.
Yeah,
And I hope not, because look at this sweet little guy. I'm just gonna get out of
yeah,
the way. Look how cute
yeah.
he is.
He is
Terrible.
adorable.
Terrible story.
Okay.
0 out of 10. Well, okay, let's go to another animal that you should not eat.
Okay.
They do in other places, but we're talking pets today. We're talking dogs.
Okay.
What your dog wants.
Mm.
Okay. Science confirms what your dog wants before you leave the house. Now, do you have a dog?
I don't. I never have,
Mhm.
but I love dogs.
Oh, okay.
I
Nice.
actually said I had a dog for 3 weeks. We lived in an
Oh,
apartment. My parents said, "No, we can't deal." Another story for another day. But I love dogs. Never
okay.
owned one,
Amazing.
but I love dogs.
So I have 3 dogs. I'm a huge
Excellent,
dog buff myself.
excellent.
Love them.
This,
So, when you leave, they all stand at the door and they stare at you, and they're just the saddest. It's the
yeah,
absolute
yeah,
saddest thing you'll ever see, and you feel guilty. You do.
mhm,
When I'm leaving, like my husband has to go and like give all of them hugs goodbye, and
mhm,
like I don't feel that bad. I'm like, okay, I will see them in 2 hours. We'll be
yeah,
good. But they do stand at the door and they just look at you with literally puppy dog eyes. This is where it
mhm,
comes from. But there is some good news for those of you who feel guilty. Something as simple as petting your dog before you go may help them feel more at ease. So, now a
mhm.
recent study has explored whether or not gentle petting before short separation could actually make them feel calmer while waiting for their owner's return. Now, keep in mind, a dog doesn't know how long you're gone for, when you're coming back. If you're coming back, they just assume you've left them forever. So, I could see that being filled with anxiety, you know? For a dog, especially, I have a German Shepherd. He's a pack animal, so
Mhm.
he needs to be
Oh
with
no.
his owners. And I have
Okay.
a what's wrong?
You disappeared for a sec. 2
Oh, I
seconds.
did? Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
You froze. You didn't disappear.
Oh, okay,
Continue.
good. I'm
I
here. I'm
yield
here.
your every word. Not to
Right.
German
I also
Shepherd. He's a
I have
pack.
a German Shepherd who's a pack animal, so he wants to be around people all the time. Same with my smallest Chihuahua. She has a lot of separation anxiety. I have a middle Chihuahua. She doesn't care. Whatever. She knows we're coming back. But the other two are quite upset when we leave. So it's saying that, excuse me, a reassuring tail wag for dog lovers is on the horizon by just giving them a little bit of a pet. So it says that the power of a loving touch. We already know that physical contact, like petting, can reduce stress in dogs. But this study takes it a step further.
Yeah.
Researchers tested whether a little pre-departure affection, just okay, my little guy, can make the difference in how the dogs handle these short separations. 10 dogs participated in this study in two different studies. Once they were pet for a minute before their owner left, and then in one test group, they weren't. Right. So researchers measured their behavior, stress signals, and even checked their salivary cortisol or their stress hormone to see how they reacted. The findings were obviously encouraging if we're talking about it today. Dogs who received petting before separation displayed more calm behavior while waiting for their owners. Their heart rates lowered more significantly after the test, suggesting that they were more relaxed. Even though all the dogs looked for their owners during the separation, oh my gosh, that breaks my heart. Their stress levels remain relatively low in the scenario. The small yet meaningful study suggests that a little love before leaving can actually make a noticeable difference in the dog's experience of separation. So, what does this mean? So, the study is a great reminder for us that even the simplest gesture can have such a huge impact on your animal. So, if you're stepping out for just a short period, try spending an extra minute gently petting them before you go. So, dogs obviously bring us so much joy and comfort. It's heartwarming for us to know that our simple touch can do the same for them. So, next time you grab your keys, don't forget to give them a little bit of attention before you go. It's going to mean a huge difference or make a huge difference for them in the anxiety department. So, isn't that sweet?
Not only is it sweet, it's so absolutely true. And it's something we should employ, I mean, with each other too. Certainly in a parent and
Mm-hmm.
kids, but just that little reassuring, that display of affection,
Mm-hmm.
that touch can go a little bit can go a
Right.
long way. And dogs dogs are our best teachers.
Yes,
They do so
they
much
really do.
for us. They ask something in return, and if we pay attention, we learn about
Mm-hmm.
ourselves from them. They can make us
Yes,
better.
for sure they can.
And and I love that idea of okay, I'm going out now, and okay, but bye the pet, the
Yeah.
hug, however the stroke cost you next to
Yeah,
nothing.
literally.
It cost nothing, and the effect of it is
It
lasting.
does.
So
Yeah.
bravo,
It's
bravo.
also, a
Yeah.
symbiotic relationship too, because studies have shown that interacting with your pets can lower your blood pressure as well, reduce
Mhm.
stress,
Yeah.
boost levels of oxytocin, the feel good hormone. So taking just that extra
Yes.
moment to pet your dog before you leave isn't in just for them. It's for us too. Like I said, my husband has to do it
Mhm.
before we leave. It probably comforts him knowing that, he
Yeah.
gave them some
Oh yeah.
love. If he wasn't to come home, we had his one last interaction. It can help you feel more relaxed and connected before stepping out into the world. So, very simple yet powerful tool to strengthen your bond with your
Yeah.
animals. So, I'm
Mm.
going to try it today
Yeah.
before I leave.
Okay.
I mean, I
Great.
do.
Tell us how that
I mean,
worked
I,
out. Tell
I
us how
do
that
go,
worked out.
okay, bye guys, but like, I don't make a whole production of it. I'm like, okay, see you later. But yeah. So, we're going to continue the
That's
animal trend
wonderful.
here, and you're going to tell us about Animal Kingdom at Disney.
Disney World, Disney's Animal Kingdom Park. A couple of weeks ago, months ago, I talked about one thing in particular. I was there in
Mhm.
February, and I was at the Animal Kingdom, and I got to see a baby
Oh,
tiger. It
cute.
was a couple of months old, and just that week they were letting it out, running around on exhibit. But the exhibit to us, to the tiger, that's where it's learning how to be a tiger from its mom, and it was incredible. Uh, so expanding on that, there are so many wonderful things that are happening at Disney's Animal Kingdom Park. Some are obvious, but some are not so
Mhm.
obvious. And I'd like to share a little of the not so obvious things if you were to go there. It's slowly becoming, maybe has become my favorite
Oh,
park
really?
there over the years too. Yeah, and when it first opened, I have a funny story about that. I'll save that for another day. But I was a little not skeptical,
Mhm.
but like I grew up with the Bronx Zoo, one of the finest
Mm,
zoological
mhm.
parks in the world. And that's true, but Disney's Animal Kingdom Park, incredible. All right, so things to look for that you might not necessarily think of. Okay, they have is a section of the park called Rafiki's Planet
Cool.
Watch. You can't walk
Mm.
there; you have to take a
Oh.
train. So it's a little bit of a journey while you're in the
Mhm.
park, and it's a train that has been fashioned to look like something that you might have seen in India in the early part of the
Oh,
20th
wow.
century.
And what's it called?
It's secret
Rafiki's.
Rafiki's Planet
Okay.
Watch, and that's where you're going to. And Rafiki is
Yes,
that
the
character
monkey. The
from The
sun, the
Lion
sun, a
King.
squash
Yeah.
banana. Yes, that guy from from
Uh,
Lion King.
yeah, yeah. So it's like you're taking a journey. There's luggage
Oh, wow,
tied to
that's
the tops of
nice.
these. It's a short train trip, maybe 5 minutes, and you'll get a peek at some wildlife and some of
Hmm.
the pens for the animals
Cool.
that are kept at the
That's
animal park.
awesome.
And then when you get to Rafiki's Planet Watch, there are lovely things
Yeah.
to do. They have a petting zoo
Fun.
of all sorts of mammals. Your
Hmm.
sheep, your goat, calf. Uh, then they have an indoor area where they have exhibits on animal, not so much animal husbandry, but caring for the planet and other biology things. And you will probably see a zoologist prepping the food for some of the animals in the park, and you can have conversations with
Hmm.
them. They have a surgical area where they're doing exams and
On
processes
the
on
animals.
the animals, and
Wow.
they do those for you to see in the morning. And one time we were there, they were doing CAT scans on, I think, sea
No way.
turtles. And my wife, who's a radiologist, was there, and she was like, "Oh, this is great! This is great!" And she was like reading the films as the veterinarians were too, and she was, really. But you don't have to be a
Right,
radiologist to
of
be intrigued by
course.
it. You don't have to see blood drawn, transfusions. It varies every day. So there is that. But then also in Rafiki's Planet Watch, they have something called the animation
Mm.
experience, where you will be given a tablet of certain size and pencils, and then an illustrator will come out and they will draw and teach you how to draw Disney characters. And because they used to do this at other parts of the
Wow.
park, and they would do characters from the animated movies, but here at Rafiki's, specifically the animal characters. And you follow step by step. You see the animators process, and then you walk away with it as a souvenir, whatever your
Cool.
drawing is. You get to keep that. So that's at Rafiki's Planet. Then you take a train back, Rafiki's Planet Watch. Now, if you are a
Hmm.
foodie, if you like good food, and if you like good food that you don't necessarily get in your neighborhood, the greatest place is Disney's Animal Kingdom. There is so much good
Really?
food in that park. Arguably, some from other planets. If you go to the world of Pandora, it's terrestrial food, but it's sort of
Hmm.
constructed to have this sort of exotic, extra planetary feel to it at a place called Satuli Canteen, and it's
Do
delicious.
they cook
Everything there.
ortolans there?
They don't.
Okay.
I'm glad you
Okay.
asked that. They do cook beef, vegetable protein, and
Okay.
chicken. No ortolan is to be found
Perfect.
on the
Perfect. I'm
menu.
into it then.
No banshees. No banshees. Fan of the movie Avatar, you'll know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about. No banshees, no. But the food is great there. But my favorite restaurant there is Tiffin's, which is it's not quite formal dining, but it is expensive sit down
Okay.
dining. But next to Tiffin's, they have a place called the Nomad Lounge. Now, part one of the Nomad Lounge is indoors, restaurant, and bar. The other part is outdoors on a
Mm.
deck that's enclosed. I like going to the deck because I'm protected from the elements in this beautiful, comfortable chairs, a view of the river that's going by. And if you're in Florida in the summer, it's going to rain. It's going to rain a lot almost
Right.
every day. And I cannot tell you how many phenomenal, intense rainstorms I have enjoyed outdoors in the comfort of the Nomad Lounge, enjoying
Lounge.
the best coffee service I have ever had, and I'm not a big coffee drinker, the best tea service, the
Mm,
best alcoholic drinks, non-alcoholic mixed drinks, and snacks from
it's
the restaurant.
beautiful. I'm looking at it right now. It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
yes. They have lovely music in the
Cool.
background. And we go there if we need to chill for an hour or
Mhm.
two because you're walking maybe 10 miles in your afternoon, your day in the Animal Kingdom Park. You want to chill, you go chill. I read books when I go. I've done reading, I've done writing, I've had business calls right there. And just my wife takes naps there. It
Beautiful.
is, it's weird. You spend money to go to the theme park, but I spend money to go to the Nomad Lounge. If you go inside, though, if you go into the Nomad Lounge outside, go inside, refresh yourself in the beautiful washrooms, but take note of all the extraordinary artwork, mostly from Asia, throughout the restaurant, and also take note of the exhibit they have on the artwork done by the artists who built the
Oh,
park,
cool.
mostly from Africa. They have their notebooks, their sketches, their watercolors, the artifacts that they acquired to use as guideposts for building of the
Hmm.
park. You spend a half hour looking at these wonderful renderings and these artifacts and not be bored. So
That sounds awesome.
I hate to tell people about it because I don't want it to become so popular that I can't get in. But I won't be. I will say go to the Nomad Lounge and enjoy yourself. If you go to the Animal Kingdom Park, what catches your eye immediately once you get past the opening area is the Tree of
Okay.
Life. It is a giant tree. It looks like a baobab tree from
Mm.
Africa, but it is manufactured and it is giant, and it is the visual symbol of the park. You can enjoy it from afar, but there's also a little trail that takes you around this tree. Um,
Oh.
it leads to a movie theater where they showed a 3D movie inspired by A Bug's Life. That is now changing.
Oh.
They're going to swap that out and come up with a new movie. Uh, but that aside, there any trail you want to go on, you will see animals. Might see kangaroo, might see flamingos, might see otters. But also, you can get a close-up look at the tree. And what you notice is that the tree is constructed of carvings of animals. So that from afar it looks like a tree, but when you zoom in, there's an elephant,
That's cool.
there's an antelope, there is a snake, there is a, and you can get really, really close to some of these, and some that are in a nook or cranny that you won't necessarily see just passing by. Much of the trail is traded. The vistas all the way around are beautiful. So if you don't want to wait online for an
Mhm.
hour and a half for an e-ticket ride, or you just want to go walk on the trail. You will see animals. If you're with kids, they will be delighted by
Mhm.
what they see. And to that point too, there are lots of animal enclaves throughout the park, but there are two walking trails, Gorilla Falls and the Maharaja Jungle. Uh, you don't have to wait online for them. You can walk them several times a day if you want. It's always going to be different. On the Gorilla Falls Trail, you will see okapi, you'll see hippopotami, zebra, and gorillas. There's other animals too, but those are the headliners. And
Wow.
there's a wonderful bird enclosure where all these birds are. I think about 130. They told me species of
Wow.
birds are living their lives in there, and they have the Animal Kingdom's hired birders who come in 2 or 3 times a day to count to make sure they're all accounted for. Oh, maybe new ones were born, maybe some have died, maybe some are missing. But you can talk to these and other naturalists about what's going on. So that's one trail. The other trail is the Maharaja Jungle. That is where I
Beautiful.
saw the tiger cub Bosco. And they also have a Komodo dragon, which we've spoken about on the show, tigers, water buffalo, and they also bats, and they also have a bird enclosure of their own there, all birds from Asia.
That's cool.
So there is that. What else can I say? If you want to spend a little extra money, they have some backstage experiences. I'll mention three of them. One is very expensive. Okay, and that's sort of the backstage. The headline act in this park is a simulated
Mhm.
safari. It lasts 20 to 30 minutes long. You go in a truck and you go drive through these animals in their enclosures. Some of them are roaming
Mhm.
free. You could don't do this, but you could hop out of your truck and go, you know, touch them. You're not supposed to
No.
do that, but that's how they are living their lives there, and you're driving through. Others are more contained, like the lion and the elephants. But They have a backstage version of this. It lasts 3 or 4 hours. You get fed a meal, and you really spend a lot of time closer to these animals, and you cross a rope bridge over alligators. It's perfectly safe, but you do that. That's a great experience. That's a couple $100 a
Mm.
ticket. That's, and if you can't afford that, the safari is reward enough, the regular safari. But there are two other programs which are affordable. One is called Caring for Giants, and that is a 60-minute experience with elephants. That only costs
Mm.
$39, and you get to meet a naturalist, and you get to see how you learn how they're cared for in the park, and you get to learn what the Disney company, how they're working with naturalists to help the preservation of elephants in the wild. You will get 80 to 110 feet away from the elephants, which is much
Yes.
closer than you will get on safari. So for that alone, it's a great, and they have a similar program for rhinoceros. For they keep at the park black rhinos and white
Mm.
rhinos. This is an experience with the white rhinos that costs $49. Again, it's a chance to speak with the naturalists, see what their enclosures look like, see how they're cared for, and learn how the conservation efforts are going, and how Disney's contributing to that. Both in dollars, but in also hiring people. They work closely with these organizations,
Right.
scientists who are working on that. So there you go. You might not have, there's a billion other things to do in this park, but these are some things you might not have thought of. And if you're spending a day there, check some of
Sounds
them out.
amazing. You always know the itinerary of things to do and where to go. I would love to go to Disney anywhere. Really, I would prefer Florida than California, even though California is a lot closer
Okay.
from where I am. But yeah, it sounds awesome. Sounds like my family needs a
If you
trip.
go with your family, yeah, it is. If you go with your family, give me a call. I will meet you guys down there, and I will point
That
out
sounds awesome. My personal tour guide, Martin,
yes, I'm always looking for an excuse to
live
go
on
down. So,
location, going on daily, live on location
yeah. Oh, that would be
from,
awesome, Ron. Make that
yeah,
happen.
right, from the Nomad Lounge. Sounds pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are just about at the end of our show. I will do one quick story and then we will sign off for today. This is, I've done a few segments lately that are just heartwarming stories, mostly because everything I do is doom and gloom. I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. Maybe because it makes for a good show.
It's
But
interesting.
you know what? I'm
Yeah.
trying to find some good heartwarming stories. So this is a really quick one here to finish us up. So good news has come out of London, England, just a couple days ago. So in 2011, a person named Darren Awol's life changed forever when he was shot during a robbery in Southeast London. The attack left him paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors told him that he would never walk again. That's terrible. Now, today, he's 42 and he's defied every expectation of him. More than a decade after his life-altering night, Darren has not only learned to walk again using crutches, he has just completed the London Marathon, finishing in 6 hours and 35 minutes using a combination of crutches and a wheelchair. He said, over a decade ago, I survived a tragic shooting that left me with a spinal cord injury in my L1 and T12, paralyzed from the waist down. I was told I would never walk again. But through sheer determination and relentless effort, I rehabilitated myself and regained the ability to walk, even without feeling in my legs. Darren says that his journey was not easy. He faced overwhelming physical and emotional challenges, even contemplating suicide multiple times. But one thing kept him going was his son, who was just 2 years old at the time of shooting. He's my biggest motivation. He gave me the momentum to see myself walking again. So for the past decade, fitness has been his foundation. It's been my anchor, he says, empowering me to rebuild my life and face each day head on. I believe movement is medicine, and I want others to experience the transformative power of fitness, no matter their circumstances. Crossing the finish line at the London Marathon was obviously a very emotional moment for everybody, probably, who saw it. Reflecting on it, he says, what I took from this experience is that everyone has a purpose, a drive, and someone they're doing it for. The crowd's energy, the cheers, the love, it all reminded me that we're here for a reason. He also added that the journey is proof that teamwork makes everyone come together and everything come together. It's a reminder that no matter how tough life gets, with support and belief, we can accomplish the unimaginable. So to anyone out there thinking about something big or taking on something big, just go for it. Believe in yourself. The journey might be tough, but the reward is worth every step. The chills, Martin, that I have reading that story. Like, I wish you guys could see it.
Okay. Oh yeah. Goosebumps.
Just so sweet. I love this.
Becky, no doom and gloom. You told us go pet your dog.
That's true.
And
history.
share this wonderful story and history, this wonderful story of inspiration and overcoming obstacles. And no, you're
okay,
uplifting.
Good. Today is an uplifting day. This is the uplifting week. We'll do doom and gloom next week. Yeah, I love it. Right. No, as I'm going through my own, health journey, trying to heal over the last year since being declared cancer free, I keep going, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I want to do this, but I can't. I want to, I wanted to run track. My daughter runs track. I bought shoes the month before I got sick, and then I just never did. And I see them in my cupboard. I can see them right now in my closet. And I'm like, why don't I? And I ran into a buddy at the track on the weekend, and he's like, why don't you? And I'm like, I don't know. Why don't I? He's like, literally just go out and do it. And so now I'm reading this story and I'm like, maybe I will. Maybe you will.
The time is right now. But isn't it great to someone else's journey can remind us and inspire us to do the thing we've always wanted to, the thing we never thought of, the thing we were afraid of, right? And so and you pay it forward by sharing it on the program. So
I love it. So I hope everyone else feels inspired by that last story. Check us out tomorrow. We will be back. Unclear who's here. It sounds like it's probably going to be Kenny and Ron, but we'll see. It might be Lily. We'll see. We'll see about that. Remember to check us out on all our socials. And again, we are back every day at 10 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. And we will catch up with you again this week.
Great.
Bye,
Have
everyone.
a good week. Bye.